Who's this? 901.
Hey, Sam. This is Jeffrey from the Memphis area in Tennessee.
Jeffrey from the Memphis area in Tennessee. What's on your mind?
So I just turned 18 years old not too long ago, and I'm going into I'm going to be voting in the general election, and I don't know. I can't really bring myself to vote for Biden after everything that's happened. But the thing is, I don't really know who else there is to vote for because, the primaries will be over by the time I'm ready to vote. And like I was thinking about Cornel West, but apparently there's been some issues with him as well, right? Like he's had some bad things going on. I just don't really know.
He's had some bad things going on. Well, I mean, look,
Ultimately, it's not going to change probably policy in Gaza.
Yeah, I mean, one way or another, it is not going to change the policy. I mean, frankly, I think if people want to say, I'm not going to vote for Biden unless he calls for a ceasefire, or I'm not going to vote for Biden over this, that's all well and good. The bottom line is there's one of two people who are going to win the election. And, unless there's some type of act of God, one of those people will be Donald Trump and the other person will be Joe Biden. And there is no way, I think at this point, to really, let me put it this way. Who you vote for on November, whatever it is not going to influence Israeli, the policy that the American government is dictating towards Israel for the better.
Right.
Let's put it that way, for the better.
Yeah.
It's possible that Donald Trump could be worse. I wouldn't be surprised if he runs to the left of Joe Biden on this in the general election.
All he does, he doesn't need to mean it. All he has to say is Biden's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be interesting to see how he tries to do that, though.
What's that?
He'd definitely be more ambivalent than Biden. I think he wouldn't be as zealous.
He's not ideological about basically anything except himself.
I think he would see what was going to help him the most. I mean, I think I personally, there is, you're not going to you're not going to affect the outcome and the policy on this one. It's just, we're not.
Right. Like I might vote, you're right, in ceasefire or something in New York, but that's not that empowered. And I totally sympathize with other people who thinks Biden can't be rewarded after doing this and needs to be taught a lesson. The problem is our electoral system doesn't really teach lessons.
Exactly.
So if he loses, I think that's going to have to be our mission, is to say he lost because of all of this, the failure to follow through in his domestic agenda and letting centrists block that, and also the Gaza stuff. Will the general media help us?
No, there is no lesson learned, and there is no rewarding. There is no rewarding or punishing Joe Biden in that way. That is just not, that's not what electoral politics ultimately are. It really is just a question of how much, it's just for you, what it is just an equation as to, how much can you divorce the outcomes of what you're doing from the action you take and how it makes you feel. That's basically it.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. I just don't really know what to do.
Well, what's the rock and what's the hard place?
Also, you've got 10.
You're treating it too seriously.
What's the rock? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's the rock and what's the hard place?
Well, I don't want Trump to become the president, but at the same time,
why don't you want Trump to become the president?
Because I feel like at the end of the day, he's going to be worse overall than Joe Biden would.
Okay. Now, what's the hard place, or what's the rock? What's the other part?
I don't want to. I feel like it would go against my conscience to vote for Joe Biden. Okay,
so that's basically what I'm saying. Is that one is you need to be able to, if And your conscience is just how you can feel self-satisfied with your conscience. And on the other end,
But what good does that do?
on the other end, you know that at the end of the day, to the extent that your vote can actually bring about a result, and there's, I can't even do the calculation as to how little your vote influences, but it does have some tiny influence, and and the outcome would be overall better. There's your decision. You just got to decide what's more important to you, the way you feel about yourself or what the outcome is.
And also, if Trump wins, you'll also have something that you'll weigh on. You're going to have a weight on your conscience.
I would remove the weight on the conscience of voting. Like voting is not like, you're not going to have to account for this before you get into heaven. Like this is, I would say if you want the argument to vote for Biden is, I think it's better to have Democrats in office when this stuff is going on, because you actually see what the imperatives are for our, especially the Zionists in control who control both parties. So right now, if Trump was in office, you'd be having Democrats saying, "Oh, we would be pushing for a ceasefire and all this, and probably fundraising off of it." I think it's a better situation to have this off. It makes it a much clearer situation. I think that's true of
It's a better opponent.
exactly domestic agenda. So I think that's what I would say. But I also people don't want to vote for Biden over that. Like I think it's the party's job to turn them out, and I'm not going. Ultimately I think that individual level, I'm not that interested in who you're voting for, and I think you shouldn't lose sleep over it. For the DSA, I don't think DSA should endorse Biden at all. I think it'd be horrible. Even knowing how bad Trump is, I think it'd be discrediting for an organization like DSA. Well,
that's different for an organization.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm more interested in organizations. So UAW hasn't endorsed Biden yet. I think that is the smart thing to do, particularly as they are calling for a ceasefire now. I think that actually that's more interesting on a group level, what is going on with these endorsements, as opposed to what are we doing as individuals. I think it's not really that important.
All right.
Appreciate the call.
And
what? You got one more?
before I go, I just wanted to say I've been listening for a little while. I really love the show. Thank you guys. And Sam, you gotta have your nephew Hassan back on the show.
Okay, I will. I'll see him maybe at the next family gathering. Appreciate the call.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Mark the Shark. Interesting to hear the dissonance immediately play out in how you offer judgment on the way Americans vote for president. Woke ideology at its worst. I'm not sure I follow that. Andrew.
Woke ideology at its worst. Oh no.
Andrew,
maybe it's a joke.
Okay, it's not voting, it's voting, not marriage. And Trump may not be ideological, but ghouls like Stephen Miller and Stephen Bannon are. Trump has floated starting a Muslim registry. Biden is disgusting and heinous in regards to Gaza, but let's keep things in perspective. Unapologetic Kowalski. Biden and Trump are the same on Gaza conflict. Therefore, my vote is strategically pointed at labor unions. That being said, after November, I'm hoping for a lot of strokes within the United States Senate and the executive branch. Gageson, this rock and hard place new voter is just experiencing the same dilemma we faced in 2016 with Clinton and Trump. B. Whitelaw, the concept of reward and punishment is a child perspective of U.S. politics. It goes along with demand of instant gratification. Both are views that come from a lack of experience and perspective. Bullprog, voting in an anonymous system makes a protest vote essentially selfish. Matty Moron, 0% chance that anyone other Trump and or a Republican candidate of your choice will win in Tennessee. It doesn't matter. Worry about it when you see a single poll that has a Democratic presidential candidate within 10 points of the GOP, LOL. I mean, I think there's a good point there, too. Dude Guy Pal, I'm begging people to take their emotions out of their voting decisions. It's not about morality on a personal level. Politicians don't give an F, and they never will as a whole. Charlie Shearer, if Biden loses, it won't be he who gets punished. It'll be the victims of Republicans' agenda that seek to strip away rights from people, not trying to guilt trip anyone. That just seems to be the reality we've been stuck with. As a trans woman, I can't risk things getting worse. Free Palestine.
Yeah,
that's correct.
I hear you.
I mean, that's just the truth.
It's just true, yeah.
Joe Biden's not going to go like, I'm punished for my, it doesn't matter.
We can't punish anybody in power. You think that freaking like an electoral loss will punish them? Hillary Clinton just blamed everybody else.
I
Biden would
will
do
say
the same thing.
the amount of people that are upset with, like, say, the Muslim people interviewed by that CNN reporter who, during the Trump administration, would take issue with Sarah Huckabee and be like, look at the dignity of the White House press spokesperson has gone down the drain, and see John Kirby trot out there every day is just,
Freedom of the press, but nothing on all the journalists killed in Gaza.
Coach McGurk's 99% Hitler argument isn't going to work. Sorry, the lesser of two evils isn't a good argument anymore.
It's rational, but probably not persuasive.
I mean, it was, yeah, right.
I think it's still a good argument. You may not be persuaded by it, but
Well,
I mean,
if you're referring to Biden's campaign, I agree it's not persuasive, but it's factually true if you're just looking at the circumstances.
there's saying, I mean, this is the bottom line is like, saying that the lesser of two evils voting is not working is, first off, it's certainly not working for someone for the president to come out and say to Israel and to sort of pull on all the levers that the president has to inhibit Israel's actions. Certainly is not working there. It certainly is working in the context of many other facets of our government. Certainly not as fast as I would like, and it's incremental benefits. But incremental in a country of 330 million people means that there's millions of people maybe out of poverty. There are millions more people who have health insurance. There's, I don't know, how many does it take? Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands less, getting bankrupt by healthcare. There's, increase in wages. All that, it does work. It may not be persuasive to you because for you, the most important part of voting is to make sure that it is a reflection on your morality. But unless you have an argument as to how voting or empowering the more evil, which is what you're arguing for, somehow brings about change, then you're just talking about how it makes you feel. And okay, you will feel better.
Maybe.
Evan from Portland, the SEIU just called for a ceasefire. It's big.
Yep.